Top 5 econometrics tips to ace your exam in 5 minutes. Hey everyone, are econometrics exams keeping you up at night? Don't worry, I totally get it. Econometrics can feel like this big scary monster, all full of Greek letters and confusing formulas. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm Haseen, and today I'm giving you 5 killer tips to ace your econometrics exam. And yes, we'll do it all in under 5 minutes. Let's dive in. First up, master the basics. I know, this sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry, but trust me, it's kind of important. Think of it this way. You wouldn't try to bake a cake without knowing what flour or sugar are, right? Econometrics is the same way. You gotta know your ingredients. Start with understanding key concepts like regression, correlation, and hypothesis testing. What even is regression? What's the big deal with correlation? And don't even get me started on the null hypothesis. Just kidding, we're going to get started on the null hypothesis. It's your econometrics arch nemesis, the thing you're always trying to disprove. Once you get these basics down, it's like you've unlocked the secret code to econometrics. For example, what's the difference between dependent and independent variables? Think of it like a detective story. The dependent variable is like the crime you're trying to solve, like why exam grades are high or low. And the independent variables are your suspects, like hours studied and caffeine consumed. Did those late-night study sessions actually help? Did the gallons of coffee make a difference? Econometrics helps you find out. Also, memorize those key formulas. I know, memorizing formulas sounds about as fun as, well, anything else than memorizing formulas, but trust me, you'll thank yourself when the exam clock is ticking. It's like having the answer key right there in your brain. Next, know your assumptions like the back of your hand. Assumptions are the unspoken rules of econometrics, the things we just kind of agree to believe so our models work properly. They're like the laws of physics for econometricians. Assumptions are the backbone of econometrics models. Think of them like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is shaky, the whole house is going to come crashing down. For example, linear regression assumes no multicollinearity. What does that mean? It means your independent variables shouldn't be too similar, otherwise your results won't make sense. It's like trying to tell the difference between two identical twins. It's just really hard to do. Write these assumptions down, stick them to your wall, and test yourself until you can recite them in your sleep. You'll score major points in exams when you can identify assumption violations and their consequences. It's like being the econometrics police. You're on the lookout for anything suspicious. Tip 4. Interpret, don't just calculate. Tip number 4, interpret, don't just calculate. Look, I get it, numbers can be comforting. They feel neat and tidy and objective, but numbers without context, they're just numbers. We want meaning. We want stories. Professors love asking you to explain regression outputs. For example, if the coefficient for hours studied is 2, what does that mean? It means for every additional hour of studying, your exam grade increases by 2 points. But wait, there's more. What about the p-value? If it's less than 0.05, congratulations. Your result is statistically significant. That means it's not just random noise. Something real is happening here. Remember, it's not enough to crunch numbers, you need to tell the story behind them. Why does this coefficient matter? What does this p-value tell us about the world? That's the good stuff, my friends. Tip 5. Practice with past papers. Tip 5 is simple. Practice, practice, practice. Look, I could sit here and tell you to study until the cows come home, but let's be real, nothing beats actually doing the work. Past papers are a gold mine. They'll show you what kind of questions to expect and how they're phrased. It's like getting a sneak peek at the exam before you take it. Set a timer, solve problems under exam conditions, and review your mistakes. The more you practice, the more you start to see patterns in the types of questions asked. You'll be all like, oh, I've seen this before, I've got this. And that feeling, that's confidence, my friends. Plus, it's the best way to test how well you know your stuff. There's no better feeling than acing a practice exam and realizing you're actually ready for the real thing. Tip 6, use real-life examples. And finally, bring econometrics to life. Don't let it be this abstract thing stuck in your textbook. Link concepts to real-world examples. It makes studying way more interesting and helps you remember better. Seriously, who wants to stare at formulas all day? For example, think about how regression can explain the relationship between income and spending. Do people with higher incomes spend more money? It seems obvious, but how much more? Econometrics can help you figure that out. Or how time series analysis predicts stock market trends. Can we really predict the stock market? Well, no, not really, but econometrics can at least give us an educated guess. When you relate your answers to real-world scenarios in exams, professors love it, and so will your grades. It shows them you're not just regurgitating formulas, you're actually thinking about how econometrics applies to the real world. And that, my friends, is how you get those A+S. So there you have it, 5 tips to ace your econometrics exam. Master the basics, know your assumptions, interpret the numbers, practice with past papers, and tie it all to real life. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, share it with your study group, and don't forget to follow this page for more tips to crush your exams. You've got this. Go show econometrics who's boss.